pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call.
Chisel.
Here.
Bell Richard.
Here.
Carlson.
Here.
Luce.
Yes.
Lohr.
Here.
Rustad.
Here.
Johnson.
Here.
Okay, is there a motion for approval of the agenda?
So moved.
Moved by Bell Richard,
Second.
seconded by Luce. Roll call.
Bell Richard.
Aye.
Luce.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Rustad.
Aye.
Lohr.
Aye.
Chisel.
Aye.
Carlson. Aye.
Consent agenda has been approved, the agenda, and we're ready for any public comment in an issue not on the agenda. Anyone want to address the council? Apparently not. We'll move on with the consent agenda, which includes the minutes of the December 5th meeting. The claims, item C is acceptance of the fiscal 16 audit report that we just discussed previous to this meeting. Item D is renew Class B a native wine license for the Stone Path, including Sunday sales. Item E is renew Class B native wine license for Don Wines.
I move the consent agenda.
Okay, motion by Lohr for approval. Bruce, rather, excuse me. And
They're
seconded by,
about four-letter words.
and seconded by whom? by Rustad. Any questions?
Where's the Stone Path?
Stone Path.
Downtown, basically right across from Mapes, right by the paper. Or paper office. You should shop downtown. It's a great little store.
Okay, any other concerns? Roll call.
Luce.
Yes.
Rustad.
Aye.
Lohr.
Aye.
Chisel.
Aye.
Bell Richard.
Aye.
Carlson.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Okay, the consent agenda is approved. Item 6 is consider ordinance 1194, an ordinance amending section 1248-030 for fees required and re-specifying the right-of-way permit fees within the city of Decorah. This is the third and final reading.
There have been no comments received, Mayor, and again, just to reiterate, this is kind of a cleanup ordinance that reconciles current code with some of the franchise language for work in the right-of-way.
Okay, there's support for this ordinance. Final reading.
I move to adopt ordinance 1194.
Okay, Bell Richard made the motion, and second was Carlson?
No, Chisel.
Chisel. Any other concerns? Roll call.
Bell Richard.
Aye.
Chisel.
Aye.
Lohr.
Aye.
Rustad.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Luce.
Aye.
Carlson.
Aye.
Okay, that is carried. I put this discussion of mayor and council compensation on because it was actually brought up, I think, a year ago. And it was, at that time, it was not, Iowa code says you can't bring it up in November and December of an election year, a council election year. And so it really wasn't something we could do at that time. You can at this time, if you want to, look at the salary of the council mayor. It was 1999 when it was raised, I think, from $35 to $40. That's a little while ago. And I think at that time they added the $50 to the mayor's salary of $300, and then it went up to $350 a month. If in fact you do decide to change the salary of the mayor and city council, as I understand it, this wouldn't go into effect until January of 2018 because you can't really do it for the present situation. It would be have to go through an election before it goes into effect. The other reason is if we do raise it, it should be part of the coming budget. Of course, that overlaps into 2 years. with our budgeting process. So I guess you have some information of a number of cities, and so it's open for discussion.
What was the recommendation that was made last year by the group that worked on it? I recall that it was talked about prior to me being on the council, and then it got scuttled because of the timing. What was that recommendation? Does anyone
It's
recall?
like $100 a month for the council
Something
members.
like that. Didn't we actually pass it and then we realized that we couldn't?
No.
We didn't vote on it?
No, I don't think you voted on it.
Oh, really?
So basically, you said $50 a meeting.
Yeah. And I don't know, I think we left, if I can remember, I think the mayor was left the same.
Right. I think you're right. If there's no action, we'll just move on. But I just brought it up because it was brought up last year.
I think we talked about some of the sub-meetings too that we weren't compensated for, but yeah, committee meetings.
Well, the way it's read now, it has to be an official meeting.
So that was one part of the discussion last year, was even going to 60 or some dollars per meeting, recognizing that you have other meetings that aren't compensated for.
Right.
So a meeting connotates where votes are taken, or
Yeah, I think your code says irregular, special, or adjourned sessions of the council actually attended, so.
And I was kind of wondering why it said adjourned, but actually you could have a postponed meeting and then regroup on that same meeting. So that meeting wasn't really adjourned. It was still the same meeting.
It seems easier just to do it on a monthly basis versus a per meeting, but I guess per meeting encourages the council members to actually show up.
Attendance, right.
but there was some consideration about the idea of work sessions, maybe taking the fourth Monday and looking at having all the council attending work sessions. And so if the work sessions were to be included, the ordinance would need to be changed because it's not a special or adjourned or regular meeting. Is that correct?
Probably, I think it'd be your definition of special, but you take no action at a work session, typically by definition of a work session. They're just there for discussion and review of information. So if you'd want to include those, then you probably should change that code.
So there was some discussion that instead of having committees where there would be extra times to meet, if we changed our structure somewhat so that the fourth Monday was a work session and supplanted all of those committee meetings, I would speak that that's the better system, and have the work session be compensated and eliminate all the extra committee meetings all over the place. Knowing that the fourth Monday, if you had something in streets or buildings or whatever, that it would come before the work session for discussion that could go to the first Monday's council for action. I think that's a stronger stance than to have, when are we going to figure when to get our committee meetings going? I like the structure of it.
But I think I don't necessarily disagree with you, Steve. I think you also have to have flexibility, though, that there will be times throughout the month that you're going to have a special utility committee meeting or street committee meeting, personnel, so forth. Those will still have to be an option.
There could be that need, yes. I don't,
So, I mean,
but I'm not saying that would be,
because every work session, I doubt very much every work session, which whether it be the fourth Monday of the month, there's something from every department, every committee.
no, but work sessions in the suggestion I'm making would be for full attendance and therefore be a paid activity rather than committees that aren't a paid activity and just for certain peoples that are on that session.
I have no problem going with the work session, but I also have no problem staying the same at $80 or $40 per council meeting.
I think the $40 per council meeting is a good pay. Sometimes it's an hour, sometimes we have other hours in there. But there's a lot of people only making minimum wage in town, so $40 for a council meeting, I think, is good wages. So.
Is there any other discussion, or anybody want to make any motion for anything, or we'll just proceed without making any decision?
I would like to have a little further discussion, maybe down the road, not necessarily tonight, but we'll look at developing and trying, Steve, a work session. Trying it for a year.
I'm in favor of the work sessions. I also think if we can say we have a work session that everyone's expected to be there, that it would be a paid activity. And so that would cause a rewrite of our structure of what we pay for.
That's assuming we have work sessions.
No, I'm saying we would have a fourth Monday work session regularly, and instead of me calling a property meeting, I would know that that fourth Monday was available for the business of the property committee.
But there may be months when you don't have a work session, just like there are some months that you don't have a committee meeting after either
Yeah, if there's no
council
committee
meeting
or...
today, right? So.
I see the system that the preference would be to use the fourth Monday for committees, activities, and work sessions, knowing that instead of Andy going around, okay, when can utility guys meet, he would always have that fourth Monday as an opportunity to schedule. It just seems to streamline scheduling and make things a little easier to put in place. So that's why I like the system, or a suggestion of that system.
Could you tie a cost of living raise to this type of salary or position as well?
Yeah, you could probably do anything. That maybe gets cumbersome for bookkeeping and accounting in terms of, is it now $41.95 and next year it's $43.80? You know what I mean?
No, yeah, I
It'd be just,
I doubt if any city has done that.
right, yeah, I think. I mean, if you were going to increase it, just increase it some flat amount that is either equitable to cost of living over a period of time. If it's been 10 or 15 years, what's that cost of living over that? And then just make that change.
I guess I don't think anyone here is doing this for the money, but I'd also question how many candidates are we getting for the city council positions? I know I ran unopposed. No one else ran in my ward. I don't know. Steve was a write-in.
Right.
I was unopposed.
Andy was unopposed.
I had a challenger.
You had a challenger.
For an at-large.
How about, you had one. Gary hasn't had one, and Chuck has. So I guess that's what my question is. It's a thankless job, and no one's ever going to do it for the money, but if you want people, good people, to be in this position to make, I think, important decisions for the city, I think it's something to consider.
I guess, yeah, if you did look at the summary or the survey, and that was really what triggered my mind. Chad sent me this survey that somebody had done this month, and that triggered my mind that we had discussed this, last year. And so I was just kind of wondering if, maybe another $10 or $15, whatever it might be, will maybe buy you, so you could take your wife out maybe once every month.
I would take exception to say that the $40 is adequate for the meeting time, because I think personally, I find the council much more involved than simply the time behind this counter.
Yeah.
And so I can't extract that I'm only being paid for the time that I'm behind this counter. So I don't favor the $40 continuing. I think it should be at least $50 a meeting.
I think a modest increase since the last time we did it was 99.
99.
Yeah.
So I would move that.
Well, you have this on just for discussion tonight.
When we get there, I'll move it.
I think the mayor's looking for some direction, whether to proceed with a recommendation or come up with some scenario.
I'd suggest we proceed with a recommendation and looking at the work session as a paid activity as well.
It could be added. Does that sound like it would have some support if we put it on the next agenda?
We could certainly talk it again.
I mean, no one wants to sit up here and say, yeah, give me a pay raise, but I think most reasonable people would say 1999 is a long time ago, 17 years ago, and it wouldn't be unreasonable to look at it.
Well, the way I looked at this thing doesn't go into effect until the next year. There's going to be an election, at least for the majority of this group. And so technically, you're not really voting on your salary.
And that was the question I had. Would it go in January of 18 or would it be fiscal in July 1st?
I think by state law, it can't go into effect until at least January. But you could make it effective whenever you want
Calendar
to
year.
after that time. So if you wanted it for the next full fiscal year, July 1 of 18, the 19 fiscal year, you could do that.
Thank you.
So have you had enough discussion?
I think we should address the mayor position too when we have the situation.
Such as?
That we continue having one. I don't have any recommendation, Gary, in terms of what that would be, but
I would suggest that if it was changed, it would rather go from 350 to 4 a month, which still looks like it's at least below a number of cities our size. And less than some of our neighboring cities that are much less than our size.
yeah.
So maybe some direction for the mayor, if the council would consider, would be to look at this survey list that has several of the comparable cities that you looked at in the salary survey. That you look at some similar criteria and maybe look for that median, what's that median comparison to these cities that were surveyed here for your positions, as at least a starting point.
I like math, so I like 500 times 12 is 6,000. See, I like round numbers and various, so I wouldn't have a problem with even going a little bit above what the median is.
Any other discussion? I guess there's a couple of guidelines here that we could probably formulate something for the next meeting. And we'll move on, if that's all right, to consider number 8, which is approval and certification of the 2016 residential tax abatement applications, which are garages and improvements for Craig Helton at 503 College Drive. And that was completed in December of this year. So we have a motion for... Okay, moved by Lohr.
Second.
Second by Rustad. Roll call.
Lohr?
Aye.
Rustad?
Aye.
Johnson?
Aye.
Luce?
Aye.
Carlson?
Aye.
Bell Richard?
Aye.
Chisel?
Okay, that abatement's approved. Consider board and commission appointments. There's a reappointment P&Z Commission by Barbara Mossman, and then the Airport Commission for the vacancy of Kevin Thompson. Has support for those two.
So moved.
Moved by Lohr,
Second.
second by Carlson. Roll call.
Lohr?
Aye.
Carlson?
Aye.
Luce?
Aye.
Johnson?
Aye.
Rustad?
Aye.
Chisel?
Aye.
Bell Richard?
Aye.
Okay, carried. Before we get reports, Councilman Lohr asked me about a possibility of changing the January date from Monday the 2nd to Tuesday the 3rd, and you said you possibly have some airplane flight that wouldn't work, or?
Is the City Hall open that day on the 2nd?
So actually, the second, I think Wanda was going to kind of cover these under her report, but the second is an official city holiday, so we'd recommend moving to the 3rd.
Okay.
And the 16th is an official city holiday too,
Right.
so we'd recommend moving to the 7th. Those are both Tuesdays.
Yeah, that one we normally do, yeah. So we're actually suggesting,
Both January meetings would be moved to the Tuesday.
oh, okay.
The second to...
Second and the third.
Second
Right?
to the 3rd.
Second to the 3rd, and the 16th to
To
the
the
17th.
17th. Yeah, let's formalize
Right.
that, formalize that as a motion,
Yep.
so that we get it in the minutes. Can someone support that?
I'll make a motion that we move our January 2017 council meeting nights from the 2nd to the 3rd.
It's not really an agenda item, so, I mean,
Oh, so
you don't need to do that, just
Hey,
stay.
this is what we're doing.
Okay.
So don't show up on the 2nd. Don't show up on the 2nd.
But you're going to write it in the minutes.
You're not going to get paid for it if you do.
Yeah, you'd be alone, and you won't get paid for it.
I'm coming to both days.
All right, we'll move on.
Okay.
City manager report.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a couple of things. Just an update coming from the Metronet Board. The Metronet Board's been working with representatives from the Upper Explorerland Regional Planning Commission over the past couple of months about working on their exit or an exit strategy from the Metronet Board. And I think we have terms and conditions now. There are provisions in the 28E agreement that establishes the 28E that calls for some of the exit issues to be resolved, but there's a couple other that we're negotiating. I think we've gotten to a point where we can effectively make that happen sometime in January. Basically what the condition is, Upper Explorerland is a very small organization. It was a very large investment for them initially 5 years ago, and just their use does not equate to the amount of that investment. So we'll be looking at taking the Metronet Board down to 5 members here sometime in the next few weeks to a month or two.
Is there a compensation aspect to their leaving?
Well, they just need to make sure that they are paid up as far as any outstanding debts that were pro rata amongst all the members, and that their initial investments are all paid up. And we are negotiating a plan for that. They are in arrears on some of the capital projects or equipment that we've purchased, and so we'll have a payment plan for them as part of the exit strategy for that. But otherwise, they walk away once their bills are paid. They don't have ownership to any of the fiber that's proposed in the agreement or anything. It's a clean break otherwise.
There wouldn't be any return on their investment that way.
Right. No. We will consider or are negotiating having them stay on the network, so to speak, because there's really no cost for that. It doesn't cost the board or the Metronet anything for them to be there, so we'll let them stay on. At least as long as the current membership ownership or administrative structure remains in place. Should that change, we can't and wouldn't want to burden a new ownership or new administrative structure. So, and that would all be contemplated.
Thank you.
The other thing that I just wanted to let you know of, you're aware that the airport is going through engineering consultant selection process with, as required by the FAA every 5 years. The Airport Commission will be hosting interviews of the 3 finalist firms on January 4th, Wednesday, beginning at 4 o'clock. So if you're interested in sitting in on those and hearing what kind of questions the Airport Commission might have of potential new consultants, that'll be on Wednesday the 4th. So, otherwise, that's all I have. Happy holidays to everybody.
Okay, thank you. Department heads?
Looking at the calendar for 2017 for our budget workshop, we're tentatively thinking February 6th for that. That is a council meeting night, and we have done it in that manner before, that we've had the budget meeting, then we broke at the appropriate time and had our council meeting, and then went back and finished whatever was left with the budget. So if you want to do that, we can do that on the 6th. We can also move it up and do it like Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday the week before, if you would just as soon not do it on a council meeting night. But typically, you know, those first few meetings of the year are pretty reasonably slow. There's not a lot on the agenda. We felt it would save another night of you coming out. So just be thinking about it. You don't have to make a decision now, but that's kind of what we're leaning towards. So just put some thought into that. And Merry Christmas.
I just wanted to, with the snow we got this weekend, I just wanted to remind everybody of our parking ordinance when we do get more than an inch, to park on the even side of the street first, so that we can plow the odd side, and then you can move to the odd side and we'll get the even side plowed and then just back to normal, hopefully.
Any other reports?
Yeah, I'll just let everybody know the ice skating rink will open on Thursday this week after school with the start of Christmas break, and most of the cross-country ski trails are groomed now, so.
And I know with the outside temperatures starting to drop, everybody's starting to be concerned about water freezing and temperatures of water. And it's more based off what the temperature of the water is than what the soil temperatures are or the air temperatures. Our magic number is when water temperature starts to get close to 40 is where we start to get concerned about running water so it doesn't freeze. We checked them all today and we're still in the mid-50s, so we still have a long way to go before we have to be concerned about water freezing.
Speaking of saying thank you every once in a while, this fall I've worked with my brother moving into assisted living at Eastern Star, which is traumatic for anybody if you've worked with your parents or your brothers or sisters. He's very active. He also has vision problems and can no longer drive. So with those two aspects, it was a major change in his life. But I really want to thank you for the support of the hometown taxi, because with that taxi, he hasn't missed any of the activities that he ever participated in, including taking the taxi from the Eastern Star Assisted Living over to the Yossi Haugen in order to do a program. But it's not often that I get a chance to be able to say thank you, but that is a real value for people who are making those major changes in their life. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any reports from councils here? Or
Nothing to say.
anything?
Nothing.
I wish to thank the street department for hosting the Decorah employees Christmas party at the Stone Lodge basement the other night. Very nice.
Anything over here?
Yeah, I'd just like to wish everybody a Merry Christmas and Happy New Year, seeing we won't be meeting until after New Year's Eve.
Thank you. Just going to acknowledge that everybody got a copy of this letter from Julie Fisher regarding some hand railings on Mill Street that we'll take a look at. Just want to acknowledge that everybody got the letter.
Yeah.
Mayor?
Anything?
Nothing, Mayor.
No? Okay. Well, again, I can wish everybody Merry Christmas too and Happy New Year, and have a motion for adjournment.